It will come as a shock to many. But ancient civilizations weren't helped by aliens. I know that you'll be disappointed. You see, the visitors weren't from outer space. They were from on high. It's the on bit that's important. And no, I don't mean pretty wasted or stoned. But it probably helped their spiritual side. Yes, the people lived on high ground, mountains. The pyramids you see, and similar structures, were a recreating of the ancestors' home. The mountains, yet with greater grandeur befitting a lord or queen. Before the first civilizations that we know of, there were cultures, noted mainly for pottery technologies or for a style of doing something. Within the cultures were societies, more often than not nomadic societies that traveled regularly. Now, not all of these societies were human. Sadly, they weren't alien either. No. It was other hominids who successfully got together and could do stuff like hunt, start fires, build, carve, use tools that formed these societies. And this was the way of life for thousands of evolutionary years until a hominid became human. Once humanity stepped in, we forgot about us and thought of I. Civilization brought religion, control, war, and fear. It also brought law. Beforehand it was spiritual. Now it was formal. It may shock many to know Darwin was essentially correct. Our bodies are animals but our souls divine. We are conscious, yet flawed. Because we know ourselves and can see, recognize ourselves in reflection. But when we stare at the person in the water, the mirror, we see I, not everything. The prehistoric hominids were inspired by natural geology to create geometric blocks and patterns. They mirrored what they saw into technology. Then humans come along and invent a computer, and try to create the very thing that we are by playing at being God, rather than already knowing that we are all God. Collectively, at least in part, about 9% of the known cosmos is understood. Sort of. Slightly. In fact, we truly don't have a clue. It's guesswork. Yet the universe has gases, stars, planets, elements, people, places, etc. So we are that universe. Now appearing as people, you and me. I am you are me, the whole interconnectedness. Hippie bit. This, though, is actually what we used to be. Egalitarian societies of hunter-gatherers, of varying homine species that mixed and interbred occasionally. Although they didn't turn out as well, apparently live in the Appalachians now, and eventually settled with hunter-gatherer Homo sapiens. The Ice Ages drove them any and everywhere. Many went high up and that's where they stayed, until it got warmer. After many generations, some of the traveling hunter tribes decided to make dwellings for older family members. But they would travel, migrate to hunt, still leaving the elderly and dependents relatively safely in the village. However, after a chilly few generations, some go home to where they came from to find civilized humans in fortified settlements. The culture shock was immense. So the civilized tried to tame the wild men into society. At first they didn't want to until some wise Proto-Persian culture allowed them land, the cheek of it, in a large forest garden near a lake in Iran. Apparently, the hunter-gatherers had it all wrong. How they lived for thousands of years was suddenly wrong. Civilization was right. The hunters were very much. What the fudge? So they go back to where they descended from and brought down wisdom. However, civilization thought it knew better, so created laws, religion and control. The wisdom and civilization clashed. So we had an incident on the steppes in Iran and, subsequently, the Proto-Indo-Europeans went east and the Zoroastrians stayed put. It's written down somewhere, in a small passage in the Bible. In Genesis actually, which the Zoroastrians helped write. In case you didn't know. It's a minor story that gets blown out of proportion. Anyway, God wants his people to wander, not stay, as that's what they do. How to survive and follow the seasons. The long and short of it is that 6,000 years later, give or take a few hundred, we invest in civilization to recreate what nature already does and try to repair the atmosphere of a planet that essentially never had anything wrong until, yes, you guessed, the civilized humans came along. So, I believe this should bring you up to speed. Thanks for watching. See you next time, at the Nexus.